Thank you for coming. It's 7 p.m. and I call the July 24th, 2023 School Board meeting to order. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. All right, Board Clerk Maggie Smith, would you please call the roll?
Barb Lynch. Here. Crystal Lee.
Here.
Jennifer Deek.
Here.
Khadijah Islam.
Here.
Chris Lau.
Here.
Lindsay Need.
Here.
Maggie Smith here. Bridget Todd Robbins.
Here.
All right, with 7 of the 7 board members present, I declare a quorum. I know that the agenda has been posted, distributed, and sent to the local media. With this in mind, are there any changes to this agenda? I would entertain a motion to approve the agenda as published.
So moved.
All right, Chris has moved.
Second.
That was Khadijah has seconded to approve the agenda as published. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor of the motion to approve the agenda as published, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, please signify by saying nay. The motion to approve the published agenda has passed. And we don't have anyone registered as a public participant this evening. So we'll be moving on to the district administrator's report. Dr. Mueller.
Well, welcome. It's great to have a nice crowd this evening here. We have some people that will be celebrating. Just a couple updates. First of all, we've had summer school. We're finished going into our 3rd week of summer school for the middle school and elementary, and then we had Ready, Set, Learn. That is for our incoming kindergartners happening. So hundreds of kids coming and going each day. You'll see lots of buses around and so on. So that's going very well right now. The roundabout that's being worked on up on the intersection here, that's going very well, and it's actually on time. If I don't want to jinx it, I'll just say it's on time right now. But they're getting ready to start paving this week is the hopes. But it looks like we might have some very warm weather, so hopefully we'll still keep that on track. And then our projects from the referendum, with our middle school and Viking and some playgrounds, a lot of that planning's still been going on, and we will be bringing a pretty comprehensive presentation and updates. In Evergreen, if you drive by Evergreen, you can see lots of work going on the exterior of that right now. But we'll bring an extensive presentation to the board at the end of August when we can give we'll have some things to show you in that and pictures and so on. So that's my update. Thank you.
All right, thank you. All right, moving on to recognition and thank yous, Dr. Mueller.
So I first wanted to start by thanking Ultra Credit Union, who recently donated $4,000 to our DECA program at the high school. We thank them also for being such a great partner and continue and value their partnership. But the next part is our Friend of Education Awards, where many of you are here this evening. Each year we ask our schools to choose someone who's not an employee of the district that they feel has really contributed to the growth of our students and just actually the overall environment of the building. And they really bring a lot to the school to make it what it is. So I'm not going to say much more than that, but what we'll do this evening is I'll call upon a representative from the school, in most cases the principal, and they'll come up and they'll invite up their friend of education, and we're going to ask you they'll probably invite you up with them. And then after we're all finished, I know Travis Udell who does some pictures for us, will want to get a picture of all of you together, all of our friends of education, and that because we want to celebrate you more broadly than just our boardroom this evening. So with that, first, I just want to say thank you all for being here. It's so great to see all of you and your families with us this evening. And what we'll do is we'll start with Miss Eitland to share a little bit. I know that, I'll let you share. So. Where's the handheld mic? Not out there? Well, you can just sit over at the table for now.
Sounds good.
She'll get the handheld for the others.
Okay.
Good evening. The friend of education for Holmen Public Preschool was unable to be here this evening. It is the week that her family always goes on a trip, so she is not with us this evening, but I do want to recognize her. She is amazing. We would like to recognize Kim McMahon. Frama, as our students know her, has been a weekly volunteer in one of our 4K classrooms, and the kids always have this big smile on their faces whenever they see her. She greets them, helps them with their daily activities, and she excitedly reads to them during large group activities and also during their choice time. Kim also volunteered her time at the Cuckoo Kangaroo event by helping to serve food to our guests. So we have greatly appreciated Frama's time, her extra set of hands with our 4K students, and the positive impact that she has truly made on our students. So want to say a huge congratulations to Kim, or Frama, McMahon. Thank you.
Thanks, sir. Okay, Evergreen, Miss Faber, if you could come up and introduce your friend of education. Oh, yay. Yep, bring everybody. That's what we love. Oh, here we go.
Well, I am thrilled to be here to introduce Robin Artman, our Evergreen Friend of Education from Evergreen this last school year. And I always think every year when we come to this point, people probably don't know much about how do we determine a friend of education and what's that process. And every school has a little bit of autonomy in doing so. But at Evergreen, we use a nomination process. And I don't know that Robin even knows, but she's been nominated multiple times by multiple people. And so it just kind of comes down to sometimes it's the last opportunity for somebody who's nominated and has made a big impact. But we're always so fortunate in the School District of Holmen to have many amazing people contributing to our schools, and Robin is a great example of that. One of the nominations Robin received stated how even with her husband being deployed, she's the first parent at pickup with a handful of snacks, and she's usually early enough that she's not even filling the teacher's hands with them. She's dropped them off politely in the office and said, get to so-and-so's room, or this huge stack is for such and such teacher, and this huge stack is for such and such teacher. And those snacks and supplies and all of those extra things are just one more thing off of our teachers' plates, and obviously right into the bellies of people like Bentley, right? She has 4 amazing children, all who have or are attending or one day will attend Evergreen. But also she's just a positive presence for our staff, and everybody appreciates that. She never comes in looking stressed and bringing that negative energy with her. She comes in no matter what the issue is, just calm as can be and happy to be there is how we feel, and we appreciate that more than you know. So with all of that, we would like to honor Robin Artman as our friend of education.
Oh, come on back. Come on back. Get a picture with you. Yeah. I'm just going to take a picture. Oh, you want to open? You can open up the certificate if you want. Okay.
All right, ready? 1, 2, and 3.
Oh,
Awesome.
thank you. All right, Mr. Weber, if you'd like to come up representing Prairie View next.
Thanks, Stacy. Could I have Freya, Calevra, and Mr. Nelson join me up front? These are our friends of education at Prairie View.
Yeah.
And like Mrs. Faber said, our process at Prairie View is a nomination process. I do not make the decision, but I'm so proud that this year's recipient or honoree is Leif, because I've known Leif for years, age both of us now. For a long time, I've observed Mr. Nelson giving his time, giving his energy, his wisdom, often with our youth and our high school students in the form of coaching in sports, which is one of his passions. But I guess most in the room could guess that's not the passion we're going to honor here. He shares his dogs with us, his therapy dogs, throughout the school year. And I just was amazed at the dedication and the reliability throughout the year. He was there every time he said he would, and then some. I'm going to read the nomination of our staff. And there was more, but this kind of summarizes everything he did at Prairie View with our staff and our students. Prairie View has been fortunate to have a friend of education in Leif Nelson. Leif and his therapy dogs are part of the Reading with Rover program that pairs children with therapy dogs to promote a positive and safe learning environment. Leif reached out to Prairie View at the beginning of the year, graciously offering his time and his dogs, Freya and Culebra. Leif demonstrates commitment to our students by coming to Prairie View on a weekly basis. He is always ready and willing to go wherever he is needed and takes on a variety of different roles in our building. He has spent time in the younger classrooms allowing kids to get comfortable with the dogs while answering many, many, many questions about these special animals. He has also spent several days in our older classrooms, allowing the dogs to hang out and provide a calming presence before students take on challenges, such as state testing. On other days, students get to relax and read with the dogs. When you see the smile on these students' faces or hear, "When can I see the dogs again?" you truly understand the influence Leif's visits have on our school community. Leif is no stranger to Holmen with students, noticing his familiar face as a coach, spectator, and volunteer at many Holmen events. While it's evident that Leif is a friend of education, his impact reaches far beyond our school. Thank you, Mr. Nelson.
You guys gotta get to the dogs. Good girl.
It's just like, I'm not gonna show myself.
Okay. Oh.
There. 1, 2, and 3. You puppy. 1, 2, 3. Perfect.
And then it looks right after he's done. All right. Okay, if Mr. Sackett could come up for the high school friend of education, please.
Thank you. I'd like to start by just honoring and thanking and congratulating all of our honorees tonight. It's really special. It's a special night to hear all these amazing stories and the things that each of you give to our schools and give to our community. I have the honor tonight to honor our high school friend of education. So at this time, I'd like to invite up Mike Gorder and his family if they would be so inclined, or not. That's okay too. Mike is just an outstanding person, and his contributions and his unwavering support for our students and our educators alike is just, I don't know if there's words to really describe all that he does. Number one's probably time, but he has so many resources and is so giving, and his concern for the well-being of our students, combined with that collaborative spirit, to give back to our community at all levels is just so appreciated, Mike. And so on behalf of the high school, Mike, we'd like to thank you for your contributions. We're humbled by the model of your servanthood that you give back to our school, specifically at the high school, but our community at large. So thank you. Thank you.
All right, ready? 1, 2. Thank you.
we could have Mr. Myers come up for Sand Lake Elementary, please.
All right, we'll welcome Jean up. I would just second what Mr. Sackett said, the energy in the room of all these people who support students and staff in the School District of Holmen is great to see tonight. And Jean's a shining example of that. I have to read a little bit about Jean or I'll forget some of the things that she does. So our first grade team did an amazing job preparing a comprehensive list of all the ways that Jean supports our staff and students. Jean started with us in the fall of 2022. She comes at least twice a week to support the first grade teachers and students. And I learned at least twice a week is important because if there's a special event, Jean makes sure to come for those root beer floats or something like that that's going on, which I appreciate. Jean supports students by listening to them read, reinforcing math concepts, handwriting, and facilitating a variety of games and small group activities with students. She has worked with a reading group to read a chapter book and complete comprehension activities, as well as guiding students in creating a diorama. And I learned she got us an extra friend of education when she solicited a little help from her husband with that. In addition to supporting students, she's donated snacks to our first grade classrooms. She completes various clerical tasks such as running copies, cutting, laminating, sharpening pencils, which the kids really appreciate, and whatever help is needed. We appreciate Jean's willingness to come to our classrooms and to provide support. You have established, Jean, terrific relationships with many students, and you treat all the students with kindness and respect. And again, we appreciate your volunteering and look forward to continuing next year as well. Thanks, Jean.
All right. Okay, if Ms. Swanson could come up for Viking Elementary, please.
Kate, you can come on up. I haven't had the pleasure of working with Kate. We just met, but Ms. Riegel spoke very highly of her, and I'm just reading this on behalf of Viking. So our friend of education is Kate Lavelle, and Kate has been an active member of our PTO for the past 4 years and president for the past 3 years. She has gone above and beyond, donating her time and talents to support every student and staff member at our school. She's been instrumental in leading our PTO board to create, plan, and carry out fundraisers and special events. Things like our family fun night, bingo, books and bites, which I did get to attend at least, along with our receptions after our music concerts would not be possible without someone willing to coordinate such fun events. In addition, Kate devoted much time this year to make sure our coupon book fundraiser and our 5th grade bash were both a success and that they went smoothly with plenty of volunteers to help. Finally, Kate made sure that teachers were able to order extra educational items for their classrooms by coordinating the mini grants for teachers. All of this work is like having a second job. On behalf of our staff at Viking, we want to give Kate a huge shout out and congratulations for being our friend of education. She is well deserving of this award. Thank you for your dedication.
All right, last but not least, our middle school, Mr. Tashner is going to come up and speak this evening.
All right, I'm very excited and honored to recognize Ruth. If you want to come on up, Ruth. So I was working with the 8th grade team and with Mr. Vogler, so we also have something that I wanted to read and again wrote all down so I did not forget any of the great things that happened this past year and beyond. Ruth Schulze has been a strong supporter for our students for many years, but at this time, the 8th grade team would like to recognize her specifically for her support of our programs. Ruth has spent hours locating materials for the classroom that will help students, signing up students for library cards during summer registration, and arranging extra meetings to determine the best ways to organize research field trips. This past fall, she worked with the Holmen Area Historical Society and the Community Center to host a human library where students and others could check out a book and hear about the stories directly. It was an amazing event that created a deeper connection between the students and members of the community as well as the stories they told. Beyond that, the event has helped the students to interact with people other than their peers, to listen carefully for details, and to ask thoughtful questions. The students raved about the event when they returned to school the following day. Ruth has been a tremendous asset to the 8th grade National History Day project. She organized research events after school where students could come to meet with teachers and librarians to get extra help, pass on resources that have given students excellent topic ideas and fueled the start of their research, and served as a judge, talking with students about their work and building their confidence by making them feel the importance of their efforts. The list of her contributions could go on further, but on the interest of time, we could simply say that the 8th grade students and teachers have been blessed by her ongoing support and her devotion to education. Thank you, Ruth.
All right, 1, 2, 3.
Okay, if we could just have all the Friends of Education come up for one shot. And just once again, thank you so much for all you've contributed to the district and our students. The dogs are like, we want to go back outside and play.
I know, well, I think there was a squirrel or something.
A squirrel. Probably. You are exactly right. Squirrel. Squirrel? Squirrel? No, that's fine. Let them do it. Thank you. Hi.
Nice and tight close. All right, ready? 1, 2, and 3. One more, ready? 1, 2, and 3.
Good job.
Thank you.
Oh, they both always let them. Okay. Say something if you want to. Say thank you once again, and you're welcome to stay, but understand if you have to leave.
All right, thank you, everybody. That was fun. You're welcome to stay if you'd like, but you can leave.
Thank you so much. Oh, all right.
All right, we're moving on to reports and discussion. Item 9.1. I welcome Executive Director of Student Services, Jill Mason, to present the Physical Therapy 660301 agreement. This item will appear on the August 14th consent agenda.
Good evening. This is, just like last time I was here, we talked about a 660301 agreement for our students who are out of district attending our transition programs. This is an agreement that we have with Onalaska School District for a physical therapist. So a couple of years ago, we needed about an 80% position, and Onalaska needed about a 20% position. So as directors, we have those conversations with each other. And so for the last couple of years, we've entered into an agreement with the School District of Onalaska for a physical therapist. And we are back again to request that we continue with them. So, any questions?
No questions. Thank you, Jill. All right, moving on to item 9.2. Executive Director of Finance and Operations, Julie Holmen, will present the 24-25 budget development process for approval on the August 14th consent agenda.
Good evening. This is an annual report that comes to the board, and it's just really giving you an overview of all the different major events that occur throughout the year in order to prepare the next budget. This is for the 24-25 budget cycle. We just entered the 23-24 budget cycle. So you actually already received a preliminary budget proposal a while back, I think maybe before the legislature finished their session for the biennium. And then we go forward in August with a proposed budget followed by original budget in October. But these are all the different steps in a year prior to the budget cycle, the budget that begins, and who's responsible for those various roles. It is a higher level look, a snapshot for your information. Any questions?
No questions. Thank you, Julie.
All right.
All right, moving on to item 9.3. Julie Holmen, again, will continue with the open enrollment out report. This item is for report only and will not appear on a consent agenda.
So in a recent meeting, there was a short discussion on open enrollment, and so I thought it was timely to bring this forward. Just a little background, I did this project in the past 6 months, 8 months or so, as part of a project assignment through my leadership organization of WASBO. And it's data that we've been looking to collect for a while and making assumptions around. And so really it was just to gain a little bit more information, maybe 1% more than we knew in the past on open enrollment and the decisions that families make to open enroll outside of the district. So when they are residents of the Holmen district and they choose public open enrollment in Wisconsin at another district, or could be also the Wisconsin, like a virtual academy within Wisconsin, but all public open enrollment. And so that is what I'm sharing with you tonight. One of the parameters for this assignment was no more than 6 slides, no more than 5 minutes. So I'm going to move through and then have you ask questions because there were many people doing various ones. So the purpose, again, several purposes in this project, was to identify some reasons why families choose to not enroll in the Holmen School District. Also, we thought that some of the information that we received back would help to support things like future staffing or enrollment or class size, school building capacity, to support program or course offerings in case that was a reason that people enrolled out of Holmen, and then also to help us replace some assumptions with some response to surveys, so more data. So this is a historical chart on open enrollment in the School District of Holmen. The orange is open enrollment out and the yellow is open enrollment in. So other public school students in the state of Wisconsin that enroll into Holmen schools. So on the left is the net change, or you can see the out and the in. We have had a long trend of more out than in. And then on the right in the blue is actually the impact of our state aid reduction for Holmen for students that attend other public schools in Wisconsin that are residents of the Holmen School District. I've said this a couple times, it's public school, so this does not include any of our resident district students that choose to go to a private school. This is just strictly open enrollment public school. So where are they attending, you might ask? Majority do open enroll to Onalaska at 63%, 16% to La Crosse, just under 8% to West Salem, and then we have 11 other districts or virtual academies in the state of Wisconsin that are attended by the remaining 12.9% of our open enrolled out students. So we surveyed 228 families. Now we have over 400 students that open and enroll out, but there's multiple students in certain families, and so it was a total of 228 families that we surveyed, and we received 39% response on the survey. The question we asked to be included in your reason why, some of the information on the screen, included geographic location, childcare location, parent or guardian employment location, student attended that school or school in another district prior to establishing residency in Holmen, and then co-curricular opportunity, or they could choose other reason. I also left it blank in the other category that they could write comment. Maybe some of the things we were thinking of is not their reason at all. So we did leave that blank. You'll see in the calculators, 31% chose multiple reasons based on the reasons I just gave you. 28% actually said other, and they either wrote in an answer or didn't give a reply, or wrote in other answers that weren't one of the multiple choice. So 16% actually attended other districts prior to establishing residency here. This is one thing that we assumed to be true for some families, especially with all the residential growth in Holmen. There's a number of families that established their children in schools in the District of Onalaska and then may have built a home in Holmen boundary, but kept their kids where they were enrolled, which is understandable. But a challenge for us as far as open enrollment out. And then 11% responded as their parent or guardian employment location was the reason for choosing another public school. There's some smaller percentages at the bottom of this slide. The geographic location of their current resident, 8%, so their proximity to the school was closer even though they're in the Holmen boundary. We butt right up to a lot of the Onalaska boundaries. We even have homes that share boundaries, like the backyard might be Holmen and the house is Onalaska, things like that. And child care location was just 5%. Co-curricular opportunity was just 1% of the responses. So I told you I'd be quick. So here are some of the summary conclusions. So prior to the survey, we made some assumptions around resident location, co-curricular, and childcare. I just demonstrated co-curricular and childcare were not high on the percentage for responses. And then just some new understanding or opportunities to build on would include just the need to continue to build trust between school district and community. There were some comments that were more negative, that those are individual comments, but it just, from our last few years, we know this already. We know we need to continue to build trust. I think most importantly is to clarify some misconceptions. Again, there might be one or two responses, but just to make sure that we're celebrating the good things in Holmen. We're sharing more information, not just at board meetings, but, you know, like Travis does a really good job and continues to really promote Holmen. I think there might be misconception on enrollment trends, and I feel that because of some of the survey results said class size is too high, or I heard class size was too high. So things like that, just to make sure that accurate data is very public and available for people when they are selecting what school district that they are enrolling their students in. So just, you know, clarifying with data and communication possible misperceptions in the community about some of these things. So, any questions?
Did we to gather data on all the homeschooled and private enrollments?
We do if it's reported. We do our best to accurately report it. We don't have the same capacity to obtain data from those that enroll into private school. So that's why this was limited to the information that we have, because the public school enrollment is much more available, and then we can obtain like emails and addresses and things like that to ask the survey questions too. Yeah, but we do have the numbers of homeschool.
Yeah, that's what I was curious about.
And we do have the numbers of private school. So in September will be our third Friday count, and probably after that would be a good time to bring you the most current of that information that we can come up with.
Yeah, that'd be interesting. Thanks.
Yep.
Is there, are we doing this on the flip side? Are we able to ask people who are open enrolling into our schools why they're choosing to come to Holmen? Because I'm curious.
We haven't yet.
Okay, I'm just curious if like that could aid in some of like, what are we doing well? How are we attracting families? How can we highlight that stuff more? So seeing it from the other side too, because this is really interesting, and you know, digging into this is really cool, and seeing why families choose us would also be getting both sides. So
Thank you.
I was curious too, did you happen to ask about like any likelihood of change for some of the folks who were mentioning misconceptions around class size or?
I did within the survey ask, is there anything that you would be looking for us to offer that we don't offer that might change your mind? I did not really get any response to that, because I was trying to think like, is there something we're missing in Holmen that would have made you choose differently? I thought that might be a good way to go about it, but I didn't really get any reply. They're like, no, just for whatever other reason we chose, whether it was location or employment or, yeah. I think a lot of it does have to do, it's still an assumption, has to do with where they live where they were enrolled before they moved potentially, because it's just so close and more stability maybe for the child, so.
Are there any other themes that you can share from the other boxes? General comments that you noticed?
I think I kind of concluded them in my summary slide here. I would say continuation to build trust with the community, between school district and community, because it's been a challenge a little bit in more recent years and through COVID. And so, again, clarify any misconceptions and continue to build their trust with very transparent public data and information. So.
Anything else? Okay, thanks, Julie.
Thank you.
All right, moving on to the consent agenda. For the consent agenda, the board has been furnished with background materials on each item or has discussed it at a previous meeting. These will be acted upon with one vote without discussion. Would any board member like an item pulled out of the consent agenda to be discussed and or voted on separately? Okay, I would entertain a motion to approve the consent agenda as provided.
So moved.
All right, Barb?
I'll second.
Chris? Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor of approving the consent agenda, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed signify by saying nay. Motion passes. All right, moving on to the board debrief. I will call upon board members and ask you to present any comments or committee reports you have. Tonight, we'll start with Barb.
First off, I would just like to thank all of our Friends of Education volunteers for your dedication to the district and to the children of our district. And I also wanted to acknowledge, and then I forgot my book, that retired Holmen High School science teacher Bob Hoffman, who is 95 years old, has published a book about his life and specifically his time as a teacher in the Holmen School District. And he will be hosting 2 book signings in the area in the next month, August 13th at Jurgens and August 18th from noon to 3 at the Holmen Library. I spoke to him last Saturday. He signed my book. And his wife had said that he's really hoping to see some former students during those book signings. And that second one is actually Cornfest weekend. So if anybody is listening or remembers Mr. Hoffman, he would love to see you. Even though he was a high school teacher, I also want to note he retired when I was in 8th grade, so I never got to have him as a teacher, but I have memories. We called him the bee teacher because he came to the elementary schools. He's also a beekeeper. He still goes out and collects his honey on his 4-wheeler. And so he would come to our science classes and he would present about his beekeeping. So his stretch of lives he touched in the Holmen School District was actually pretty broad. So the book is called Take Out a Half a Sheet of Paper, because that was what he was known to say when he would give quizzes in his class.
All right, that's great. Thank you, Barb. All right, Crystal.
All right, so with the little notes I made, I just want to say a big thank you for our principals and our Friends of Education for not only contributing but supporting our Holmen district into creating such a kind and welcoming space for our students within our district. Especially coming from a student like me, I really just want to truly appreciate and say thank you for all that you do within this district. I also want to give a little shout out to Travis for representing Holmen so well on our social media. So keep posting. That will conclude what I have to say tonight, and thank you.
All right, thank you. Khadijah.
Yeah, I will hop on the train of thanking our Friends of Education. I definitely didn't pick favorites, but the dogs looked great in those photos. No, I mean, You know, the truth is, I don't think anybody signs up to help in a school with the hopes of getting an award for it. They do it because they believe in what we're doing, and they believe in they understand how important it is for the community to help raise our students and help them to grow. So it's incredible that we have this opportunity to recognize them. It's incredible that we have, so many people to nominate. It's really nice to see that the community, to highlight these ways that the community comes together to be a part of the district, and that the district is a part of the community. So I really appreciate that. Thank you to all of them.
All right, thank you, Khadijah. Chris?
I'm not going to say anything better than that. So just thanks to the Friends of Education. It's always one of my favorite meetings of the year. So.
Okay, Lindsay?
Yeah, I was also happy to see a full room. I think that's why a lot of us, want to do this. It's nice to see faces in here instead of staring at the wall in the back. But I'm sure there's a million other volunteers that could have been recognized tonight. I'm sure there was a ton of nominations. So thanks to everybody out there who puts in their time with the schools. I think every story was just really touching to hear, and makes me as a parent really appreciative of all the support we have in our schools, knowing that, my kids get to see dogs when they're at school, or they're getting help from someone that people are referencing as like a grandma, and caring for them. And just, it's really nice to hear as a parent. And kind of going off of the presentation here and just the surveys, I think that that we have a really good board here that's all about transparency, and we all hope to, find ways to meet that goal, to be more transparent and for people to know more of the facts of what's going on behind the scenes. Because I know before I was on this, I didn't really know what was going on. So I think there's a lot more to come. So thank you.
All right, thank you. Maggie?
I will also echo gratitude to everyone who is receiving the Friends of Education Award tonight for giving their time and their talents and their energy to the schools. And then I was also going to thank all of the staff who attended the Meet and Confer. I really appreciated hearing directly from staff at that meeting. Thank you.
And Bridget?
Yeah, I'll echo what Chris said. This is one of my most favorite meetings of the year, is to see these amazing volunteers recognized. And I appreciate just the connection that Julie made around transparency. And I mean, that is absolutely the reason that I serve on the board, is because I believe our schools deserve tremendous community support, and really want our community to love our schools as much as we all do. So thank you to everyone in this room.
Yep, and I'll echo the same thing, that it's just really enjoyable to see community members, parents, grandparents, volunteers come into our schools and help our kids and help our staff. Yeah, I enjoy this evening as well. So thank you to all of the Friends of Education. Okay, moving on to our upcoming board meeting schedule. Our next two board meetings will take place on August 14th and August 28th. And we have our back-to-school kickoff also on August 28th. So summer is going quickly. And given that, is there any other business that needs to come before the board at this time? If not, I would entertain a motion to adjourn this meeting. All right, Chris? Second. Lindsay? The meeting is adjourned at 7:43 p.m. Motion carried. Is there any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor, please indicate by saying aye.